Hey everybody, welcome back to the 80s Slashers YouTube channel. In this video, I will be discussing and reviewing the 1989 slasher Memorial Valley Massacre. In this video we will take a look at the plot of the film. We'll look at the setting. We'll talk about the kills, the nudity. We'll look a little deeper at the Blu-ray itself before I finish it up with some final thoughts. So yeah, Memorial Valley Massacre. Now this is also known as Memorial Day. I don't really understand I looked it up. Usually the original title was Memorial Valley Massacre. There was, I think, in Europe like a video title, like a VHS cover that was Memorial Day. But every Canada, U.S., it was usually titled Memorial Valley Massacre. However, on the opening credits of this film, it does say Memorial Day. So I don't know, kind of a strange thing there. Um, it would kind of work if it was Memorial Day, because again, it kind of ties into like your Friday the 13th, your prom night, your graduation day, your April Fool's Day, kind of like the holiday themed. And in that it fits because this film does take place in what they call Memorial Valley, but it also takes place on Memorial Day, so it is kind of a holiday themed slasher. So anyway, just kind of a little interesting side note, I guess. But yeah, in many ways, this is like your typical straight to video late 80s style of slasher. And even though it does look remarkably good for one of these straight to video types of films, it kind of still carries itself with that low budget, borderline cheesy 80s tone and feel. That's what you can expect with this. Now, what I found pretty interesting about this movie is that while it is without a doubt a slasher flick, to be sure, due to many of the other elements that are found throughout the movie, it also sort of plays out like an adventure film, like a nature survival film, which is pretty fun. I don't know. I kind of liked that about this. It's different in that regard. Now, but before we get into all of that, let's just jump right ahead and let's just go and let's talk about the plot. All right, so the plot for Memorial Valley Massacre, basically the film opens up. We see like a large line of like vehicles going up a mountain in the woods, and they're going for Memorial Day weekend at a campground in Memorial Valley. And they're waiting in line because the gate's closed, and we see behind the gate, like the people working at the park, that there's all kinds of problems. Like some of the water is not, they don't have running water there. There's a problem with the water. They found like a dead dog carcass down like the well. And construction worker had died earlier while building one of the structures. So there's all kinds of problems plaguing the opening. This is a brand new campground that's brand new opening. And they're like, well, we can't open in. But then, of course, the management's like, no, we're going to go ahead. The owner's there. His son shows up who's going to work at the camp. And they decide to go through it. So they open the gates and all the people come in. So then we get like, we kind of are introduced to all these characters, and we go through all kinds of the different tourists that are staying at the campground. Some are tenting, some are in like little RVs, so like trailers towed by trucks. And we spend some time with each of these people visiting the campsite. And then eventually, one of the visitors to the campground gets killed by our villain here. And then, of course, kind of the mystery unfolds of the staff and the other campers. Is like, oh, who killed the campers? So they're gonna, was it a wild animal? Some people think it was a bear, and other people are a little more wise and like, no, it's something's going on here. Something's going on. So then they once they realize that there is actually a killer on the loose, they organize. You can kind of see here like a hunting party, like a posse, and they kind of go on a hunt looking for the the culprit, and then it kind of plays out from there. And there's there's a, I don't want to say a mystery, but there's like I guess it is. There's like a little mystery going on with the killer and some of the people that are involved in the hunt and like the guests and whatnot. So that kind of plays out as a subplot. And then of course more people keep getting killed one by one as the hunt continues. So and then we reach the the big finale, the big conclusion. So yeah, that's kind of a brief, quick little overview of the plot of the film. Now the first thing I'll say is the cast of characters that we get within this film were I found really great. We get all kinds of different people, and again, this is like late '80s, so we get some like a group of like young like punks. I wouldn't say they're like punk rockers. They're just their attitudes. They're just like they're kind of dicks. They're saying obnoxious stuff to some of the other guests. They're just doing what they want to do because they're like 18, 19, 20-year old punks on their own. So they're kind of fun. We get like a group of bikers where they're not like your hard nosed bikers, but they're kind of like in between. Like they want to be tougher than they are, but yeah, the bikers with their wives, they're great. We have some your regular obnoxious tourists, like a woman who's super obnoxious, and her son is equally obnoxious, and the father's really meek, and he just the two of them walk all over him. They're really fun. There's like an army general, retired army general with his trophy wife. Uh, it's just like a really different, unique cast of characters, which is really good. I really enjoyed the characters in this film. And we, like I said, we spent a lot of time with each of them. Like there's a good deal of character development that's done, which we'll talk about a little later. But I think it's an asset to this film. It really is because it just you really get to know some of these characters, and it's you spend some time with them, and it kind of makes the payoff at the end a little better. So I definitely enjoyed that. And now, because of all of that character development, when like when the hunt part of the film actually starts, I was into it. I was kind of into it because you kind of recognize these characters. They all have their little, they're all their little habits and idiosyncrasies that you've become accustomed to. So they go on the hunt together, and it's kind of why, like I said, it plays out like an adventure film, because I was kind of rooting for everybody. They all have their own different stories, their own motivations of what they're looking for or why they're helping out in the hunt and whatnot. And yeah, I don't know. It was kind of, you kind of went on an adventure because they were kind of on an adventure. So it's interesting. Now, in terms of pacing, I found the pacing of this film was really good. For me, this is one of those films. It flew by. It really was. The running time, it's about an hour and a half, but it seemed a lot shorter than that. It really flew by for me. And again, I think it was just because some of like the action adventure thing. It wasn't, there was no boring lulls of just characters talking. They were always doing something in action and on chasing or just whatever was going on in the film. It just kept the pace going at a really good rate. So that's definitely a positive for this film. Now I will say the like the slasher or like the horror elements didn't really kick um, in this film until really like the last third, I would say. I'd say like over half the film was like kind of like this. There was some comedy elements, there was the adventure elements, and then the horror kind of slowly ramped up, and then the last part was where like the slasher elements kicked in. And usually that would kind of bug me, about a film that is like a slasher film, right? But because I was having so much fun with, some of these characters and like the adventure elements, I didn't really mind, to be honest. It was fine. Um yeah, now the ending of this film, the conclusion, It's not one that really has a like a big twist reveal, like an aha moment. Um, and basically the small mystery that we had, it was pretty much laid out throughout the film. There was little pieces of it laid out through dialogue, and it was, they weren't trying to hide it from you. It just kind of played out slowly. Um, and even though like there was parts of it were silly and cheesy, the ending of the film, there was some meaning to it. It was a little touching, like a little I won't say heartfelt, but there was some meaning to the end, like without the reveal. Like it was still silly, but it wasn't a great ending, but there was something there. There's something there, like a payoff at the end, I guess you could say. So I can't really complain too much about how they ended the film. So yeah, overall, this is, like I said, a different style of slasher. For sure. And like I said, it is. It's a late 80s straight to video, so it's not going to be your typical, paint by numbers, early mid 80s type of slasher. At this point, they were doing something different. And this one is definitely different. It's, the first half is basically like an outdoors adventure with some comedy thrown in for fun. But I enjoyed this plot. It was silly at times for sure. It's just a product of the time. But overall, yeah, the plot of this film, it was pretty good. It was enjoyable for me. All right, let's go on and take a look at the setting. All right, so Memorial Valley Massacre. This would be classified as like an outdoors slasher, a nature slasher, because the primary setting takes place at like a campground. Now, the type of campground that this is, it's one of those ones that has, like there's like the site numbers. Every like site has like a number, and some of them have like the tents, some of them have, like full RVs, some have just like a little tent trailers that are pulled with a car or a truck. We have like the general store, we have the the office, like there's like porta potties, showers. That's the type of campground it is, which is great, which is fantastic. And the campground itself is situated in like obviously like a valley, Memorial Valley, but it's basically way up in the mountains. So it's between like a valley, like between two mountain peaks basically. So if you leave the valley, you're up and you're climbing in mountains and whatnot. So that's kind of the overall setting of where it was filmed. It's in California, is where the movie was filmed. So the mountains of California. Um, Now, like I said, the campground itself is great. It has a real 80s feel going on to it. All the tents and the tent trailers have that thick canvas tents, Um, just like in like the trailers are the really old style trailers. There's nothing new and modern. Even in like 89, I think it would have been like the older equipment that they were using. So I liked that. It had a good feel to it. Uh, and like I said, because of the location, like the hybrid between like the campground, and then there was like a deep woods setting as well, because they would continually go back and forth between staying at the campground, and then when like the hunt scenes were occurring, they would go up and they'd be trekking through mountains and cliffs and like deep wood settings, and some of these were at night, some of them most of them were in the day, but there was some night scenes. um, so yeah, because of that, the hybrid campground deep wood setting, I like the look of this film. I like how it was set. Like I said, the scenes that were shot in the daytime looked really good. Some really nice nature scenes, scenery, and the whole thing took place there. And the night shots looked really good as well. Like, yeah, I don't know. The setting of this film just has a really good feel and a look to it. Like, I'm kind of a sucker for these slashers that are in the woods. It's just, I don't know. It's just something that I really take to. So, yeah, in terms of the overall setting, this definitely has a really good one. Yeah. All right, let's move on and take a look at the kills. All right, so Memorial Valley Massacre has a total of nine Nine kill scenes. Now, even though there are nine kill scenes, there's approximately, I think I counted about 15 people who actually get killed in this film. Some of them are kind of off screen, so I don't really count it as a kill scene. There's a couple scenes where more than one person get killed at a time. So yeah, nine separate scenes, but 15 people in total. So a really large body count. And this is kind of surprising because the first kill doesn't happen until 30 minutes into the film, because like I said, of like the character development that we see, like the comedy elements, the adventure aspect of it, that plays out first. So you get 30 minutes until the first person is killed. So basically within a 60-minute block at the end of the film, 15 people get killed. So I guess technically the pacing of the kills isn't great because it's all backloaded, but within that 60 minutes, those 15 kills are spread out really good. Like I said, once the horror and the slasher elements begin, it plays out really good, and the pacing for these kills within that 60 minutes is great. Like there's kills pretty much nonstop. They might get a little condensed at the very like last, I don't know, 10-15 minutes, but yeah, once the horror starts, I thought the pacing of the kills was really good. uh so now the killer the killer itself here, you can kind of see him there. um yeah, the killer itself is ridiculous. This is I'm not a fan of the killer, unfortunately. He's kind of, well, he's not scary. He doesn't have any great weapons or anything like that. Like nothing iconic about him. He looks silly. He looks like a fake made up, like like um like a Tarzan. Like basically what it is, he's like a grown up feral child who grew up like in the wild, in the mountains here. And he wears like leather fur clothing. He grunts. He doesn't talk. He has a clearly a silly fake wig, fake teeth. He's got these big buck teeth. Like it's terrible. He looks silly. Like think like Tarzan and like Mowgli from the Jungle Book. That's what they were going for with this killer. And he doesn't look scary. He's terrible. He's it's ridiculous. He's silly. So yeah, that's a big downfall for this film. I wish, you want a killer that's terrifying, but he's not. Anyway, that's too bad. In terms of the kills themselves, they're all right. This film has okay kills. There's definitely some that are pretty tame, pretty weak. Not much blood, not much practical effects. But as the film continues, they do get better up until like the end. A lot of the highlights in terms of the kills are some of the after kill effects. We get to see some of like the dead bodies, and they look pretty gruesome. There's some really good like the makeup effects or whatnot. You see like axes implanted in someone's chest cavity, which looks really good. There's a couple where people are like impaled on like a bed of spikes sticking out of the ground, and you see like the spikes going through their body and their neck, and it looks good. Like so that's the kind of stuff you don't actually get to see, like the spikes penetrating and going through like with those practical effects. Which I guess that sucks a little bit. But there is a little bit of practical effects, but like the really good kills, like it's more of an after. You get the effects after the kill's been made. There is a really good kill with like a guy on fire running around. That those are always enjoyable. A guy running around screaming. The camera lingers for, I don't know, 10-15 seconds, running around completely on fire. So that's always fun, and that was a good setup for that kill. So yeah, in terms of kills, it's not the strong point, for the film for sure, but I wouldn't say it's the weak point either. They're acceptable. Again, this is a straight to video, low budget, late '80s slasher. So when you think about it like that, I think the kills are actually pretty good for this style of film. So Yeah, if you can get past the ridiculous killer and enjoy the kills for what they are, there's definitely something here. It's like I said, definitely acceptable, not too bad. All right, let's move on and we'll talk about the nudity. All right, so in terms of nudity, this is definitely the weak point of the movie. As there's zero nudity. There's nothing in this film. Now this is fine. Like nudity is not required by any means. But I've always said, nudity is in these films is one of the things that just really adds to the formula because we're so used to seeing it. It just goes with these films, and when it's not there, um, you almost feel like you're missing something, like a part of the key formula is just not there. It's just, again, this is just my opinion, but I've seen so many of these films. It's just um, all of them almost have some sort of nudity in it. So, like I said, when it's absent, it's noticeable. Now, um, the we there is some titillation in this film, I guess you could say. The closest we get, well, first off, there's one sex scene, and it's a good scene. It's long and it's extended, and there is some like titillation where like a woman's like taking her clothes off, like with her back shown and her legs are shown, but it doesn't really show anything too graphic. And so that's a good scene. It's fine. It fits into the film nicely. It's filmed nice. But there is one girl who it's raining in the nighttime, and she's dancing in the rain with like a wet t-shirt on, and I guess that kind of qualifies as nudity because you do see everything through a wet t-shirt, and it's pretty long. And she's dancing there for a while, so I guess that's the closest you're gonna get in this film. And later on, even when it's not raining, it seems like you can always see through her shirt a little bit. So yeah, that's what you get in this film. Like I said, not definitely not the strength, but that's okay. So yeah, that's all right. All right, let's just move on past this and let's take a look at the Blu-ray. All right, so this Blu-ray, of course, of Memorial Valley Massacre was put out by Vinegar Syndrome. So, these guys always do a fantastic job, and this is no different. This is a good package. This you can get this with a slipcover. I didn't want the slipcover, just because, like I said, this is not the artwork on the slipcover, and this is the one I knew I wanted to display. So I opted for this. But you can take a look here, and this is the alternate, the newly commissioned artwork. This is what the slipcase will look like, which is good. It's close. Like I like that. It looks good. I prefer this original, so that's what I'm going with. You get the single Blu-ray disc. Terms of special features here, there's not a lot. And does it say on the back here? Yeah, you get newly scanned and restored in 4K scan from the original 35 millimeter negative. And this looks fantastic. It really did. It really does. It looks really good. I can't imagine this ever looking better, unless of course it gets like an official 4K release. It'll look a little better. But like I said, a lot of the outdoor nature scenes, they're really crisp. This film looks really good. Um, so yeah, really recommend it. In audio, it sounds fine. It sounds like a modern-ish type of film. So I know some of these earlier ones, like it sounds like they're almost dubbed. It's like the audio track is a little weird. This one sounds fine. Um, yeah, so audio video is top notch with this one for sure. And then we get two interviews. We get an interview with the director, which is about 14 minutes, and we get another interview with one of the actors, the lead actor, which is about 10 minutes. So yeah, 25-ish minutes of extra content. Again, not a lot, but at least there's something there. But again, you're paying for like the actual film, the remastered rescan, and it looks fantastic. So yeah, this is the best way to check this film out for sure, without a doubt. Yeah, so yeah, Vinegar Syndrome. They're 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 saviors to the '80s slasher. They just keep releasing these types of films, and I love it. So it's fantastic. So yeah, that's just a quick look at the Blu-ray. Let's wrap this up with some final thoughts. All right, so yeah, I liked Memorial Valley Massacre. I feel like I shouldn't have because, I feel like the general consensus is that this is a crappy film, crappy straight-to-video film, crappy late '80s slasher. I know some people do like it, but I feel like the consensus is that this isn't a good film, and I guess I can see that. It's probably not for everybody, but I had a lot of fun with it. I can recognize it for what it is, and I liked it. It has its shortcomings for sure, but it's fun. I don't know what to say. I liked it. Um, like I said, this isn't your typical slasher formula. So if you can get past that, you know what you're going into. This is, like I said, it's more of a hybrid. It's like an adventure, like an outdoor adventure survival type film, and then the last half turns into like the slasher, the horror slasher element, and it works. It works for me. It kind of, that the first part used like the character development and the sense of fun to build up into the end, and when the stakes get higher or whatnot. It's, I don't know, it worked well together, and it was fun. It doesn't contain a good killer, and it doesn't have any nudity, and the kills were just all right. So those are definitely knocks against it. It's not going to be anyone's favorite film for sure. But it has a really good setting. The outdoor campground, deep woods type setting is really good. It has a really fun set of characters that just capture this moment in time, late '80s, just perfectly. And like I said, it's just kind of a fun film, even though it's definitely silly and cheesy at times. Um, it's still really fun. So yeah, this is probably not the best example of an '80s slasher, but it is and it's an enjoyable late '80s straight to video style slasher, and there's not too many of those really. Like it's this is kind of a rarity. Like usually these films they are what they are, and they're pretty bland and not very great. At least this one has some fun to it. So for that reason, I kind of dig it. I like it. So if you like this style of film and you're not too picky, I think there's some fun and enjoyment in this for you. So I recommend it on that basis. All right, that's it. That's my thoughts and review on Memorial Valley Massacre. So yeah, so if you stuck around this long, thanks for watching the whole horror video. And until next time. All right, see ya.